This episode is brought to you by the Newman Center for the Performing Arts. Friday, February 16th, the Newman Center brings you Small Island, Big Song, a collaboration of artists of the Pacific and Indian Oceans together in music, spoken word, and film. The work confronts the impacts of climate change framed in a theatrical narrative with panoramic visuals of the artists' featured homelands. See Small Island, Big Song, Friday, February 16th. Tickets available now at newmancenterpresents.com or by calling 303-871-7720. Today on CityCast Denver. Valentine's Day is coming up next week. Consider this a reminder to plan something special and also a warning that a lot of the fancy stuff is already booked up solid. So we've got some other ideas for you today. Linnea Covington from Mile High on the Cheap joins me and producer Olivia Jewel Love to share some great Denver date ideas that won't break the bank. Today is Thursday, February 8th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Linnea Covington, welcome back to CityCast Denver.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
And producer Olivia Jewel Love, hello.
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
Good. So we're talking Valentine's Day date ideas in the Mile High from a more frugal perspective, like affordable, cheap, and or free ways to celebrate this holiday of love. We're breaking them down into different date ideas into these categories to give folks just some options of things that you could do, because I think sometimes this holiday can feel a little bit expensive. And I guess our first category is best cheap or free date that might include something like a candlelit dinner or roses or chocolates or something that you would associate with a more traditional Valentine's Day. Linnea, what's your idea for best cheap or free or I don't know, the best way to get a romantic date, your style, but affordable?
So I've been writing about cheap Valentine's Day for Mile High on the Cheap for the last 2 years. So there's a lot of great ways that you can experience Valentine's Day without spending like a ton of money and frankly often getting something not that great in return. The best way to absolutely do that is to have dinner at home. That way you can like make your own food, have your own wine, have your candles, your roses, set the scene that you want. Don't have to deal with times or reservations. By the way, reservations are pretty much sold out for many places right now. So this is just a way to guarantee that you're going to have like a very nice intimate moment. I know that Amazon Prime subscribers can go to Whole Foods and get discounts. They often get like really good discounts on like prime rib, lobster, oysters. There's all sorts of great deals. So you can really like do it up without spending too much money. And that also is good if you have dietary restrictions.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're more particular about what you want to eat or what your partner really likes. And I love this idea too of, I mean, if you look at like the price of like a prime rib dinner at a restaurant versus like going to the store and getting one, it's like $20 or $30 difference. So this, if you're good at cooking, this is a great way to do it. If you're not though, Linnea, what else would you recommend?
Yeah, so there's a lot of places that do takeout meals. So this is still a way to keep your Valentine's Day like on the low end for cost, but get food that you don't have to cook or really do much cleanup after. I know that Chook Chicken is doing like their Chook for 2 meal deal, and it's like $31.95, and you get a half rotisserie chicken and 2 sides like mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, brown butter squash, and a small salad, which I think is like a lot of food. And so you could probably even have it for Valentine's too the next day if you want. And then also that way you can get like a really good bottle of wine at like cost, like that's another thing. If you want to have like a nice bottle of wine on Valentine's Day, restaurants charge upwards to like 10 times more than they cost at the store. So that's like a very good way to get really good food and not spend an arm and a leg.
I love that. It seems like such a simple idea, but it's just like the cost from a cost perspective, you can't beat it. Olivia, what about you? What are you doing to save some money but do something a little more traditional?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been doing this on the cheap. I mean, before when I was in college and a reporter, I was obviously really trying to keep things cheap. And also, one of the things that Linnea pointed out was reservations are hard to come by.
Yes.
And especially if you have a varying schedule, like a reporter having to, sometimes just hop on and go to stuff, it's really hard to keep a reservation. So it's a lot easier and lower stress to just kind of plan something at home for this, especially if you really want it to be thoughtful and romantic and like, the traditional Valentine's Day stuff. So the thing I came up with is do a wine and chocolate pairing at home. But I found these great lists from 5280 magazine. They're a few years old, but they've got a whole list of local Colorado. There's a wine one and a chocolate one. I'll include links in the show notes, but they're just locally made wines and chocolates, so we can keep the Colorado twist on stuff, and you can try out some flavors from our state. And this is like a really fun thing I've kind of been getting into with my partner, is doing tastings. And it's just really entertaining to do it, especially as somebody who has no palate, to do it with somebody who has a great tasting palate. Because we did like a mezcal tasting at home. He just had some bottles of mezcal. And we kind of did it as like a little quiz style thing. It's like, oh, what notes are you getting? And I would be like, cucumber. And he'd be like, no, that's like not even close to anything. It's like almond and like burnt toffee and stuff. So it's really a fun thing to do. Just kind of play it like quiz style with your partner. Especially you can learn some new things about who has, really that taste. So it's fun.
And the pressure's off, right? I think sometimes in the tasting experience, you're like, I'm supposed to be tasting this thing everybody is all wowed about, and I'm not getting it. And at least at home, you can have fun with it. And also maybe pick out some things that you've wanted to try, but like you've just been on the fence about, or something you just know you're going to love. So it's like almost curating your own tasting too.
Right. I've really been wanting to get some stuff from the Chocolate Therapist in downtown Littleton. So that's definitely on my list for chocolates that are going to go in this roundup.
Such a good bonding experience too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, especially if you've been in a relationship for a long time, you're like, okay, what are we talking about? What are, you just like kind of need, I don't know. It's nice to have a little inspiration. I was going to tag on to that. There's a great pairing at Colorado Sake Company, which is also on the lower end of costs. And they're doing sakes with bonbons on February 13th.
Ooh, yum.
That sounds so good.
That does.
Any excuse for a bonbon.
True.
Okay, our next category is all about the place. So this is like the best affordable date or a good way to get out of the city for the day or maybe for the evening to do something fun. Linnea, what have you got?
Well, I don't think you necessarily have to leave the city to feel like you're transported. So we have a great art scene in Denver, and even most art loving people haven't seen all of the cool public art spaces that we have. A really fun place I like to go that maybe you don't think of is if you go to Denver Milk Market. The Maven Hotel has art all over it, and you can like walk around and explore it. And you can even ask for a tour of a room if they have any available. And then you can just walk through the art alley and go around, and you're in downtown Denver, but it doesn't feel like other parts of downtown Denver. So that's one of my favorite things. Or in Golden, they have like their public art walks right outside. You can get a map from the visitor center or download it online and just like go on the walk, learn about some of the stuff going on, and then, go and have like some pizza and a beer at Atomic Cowboy that just opened up.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Also, when you talk about public art, I think sometimes we see it from like the view of the car or the light rail or whatever, and getting out and getting close to it and seeing some of those bigger pieces in person too just changes the experience altogether. I love that idea. Olivia, what about you?
Well, I want to get out a little bit more, but, usually, especially this year, Valentine's Day is on a Wednesday. And like, even if you're just planning dates, a lot of stuff fill up on the weekends and it gets kind of crazy, especially if you're trying to go into the mountains and stuff or anywhere on I-70 on the weekends. Ski traffic and everything is just wild. So I'm looking at heading over to Indian Hot Springs in Idaho Springs. Ooh. This has been on my list of hot springs to try. I haven't been to it despite working in Idaho Springs as a reporter for a while. But they just have some really cheap rates, especially during the weekdays. Like you can go to the mineral water swimming pool for $20 Monday through Thursday, and then like Friday through Sunday it's only $25. So that's still pretty cheap for a hot spring. And then they have like a mud club where you can do like mud masks and stuff, and that's only $14 during the weekdays. So that's a pretty cheap way to have that spa experience. And also Idaho Springs is close. It's like less than an hour out of town, so you can do a day trip and, you know, not spend a whole lot of money. You don't have to pay for lodging or anything, and you can still, you know, go do that spa experience with your person. So then they have a bunch of like indoor, outdoor tubs, caves, a bunch of stuff. The only thing I will say is when I was looking into this, because this is something that's been on my list to do for a while, that during the week in some of the areas there, swimsuits are optional. So I would, if that is, I would be aware of that when you're making your plans, depending on what kind of plans you have. Just know that some days swimsuits are optional. So
also depending on the date, maybe it's a person you just started dating or you're not sure where they're at with the get out experience. Yeah. This is such a great idea because often, like, my favorite place is Glenwood, but it's like a trek. You know, you gotta like go there, you stay overnight. It's great. But this is so close.
Yes.
And it's indoors. And like you said, it's on the more affordable end for hot springs too. Because I was looking at some of the hot springs like Iron Mountain I love in Glenwood, and it's kind of pricey. And so this is a good option for something more affordable and just so much closer.
Exactly. Day trip. Don't have to pay for a hotel. Just
Will you also
little trip to Idaho Springs.
Get that like mountain town feeling without going far, because the town is so cute.
Yep. There's a lot of great little things to do on Minor Street in Idaho Springs. A lot of great little restaurants and shops. Frothy Cup Coffee Shop. They always got some seasonal drinks.
It's only a couple hours like round trip and to do everything, so you can totally do that in a day.
Easy. And you don't even have to, it's before Eisenhower Tunnel, so don't have to deal with that.
That's true.
So perfect.
That's a good note. This episode is brought to you by Visit Denver. Visit Denver's Denver Restaurant Week, presented by Superior Farms American Lamb, runs March 1st through the 10th. Check out hundreds of the Mile High's best restaurants at an affordable price. Going 20 years strong, this annual celebration of our culinary scene invites you to enjoy delicious offerings across the city with appealing price points of $25, $35, $45, or just $55 per person. And Bree Davies is going to try different restaurants that are not any of the same 5 she always goes to. For a full list of participating restaurants, visit denverrestaurantweek.com. That's denverrestaurantweek.com. Hey, it's Bree Davies, host of CityCast Denver. Growing up in Denver, it took me a while to find my place in the city. I wanted to understand our city's politics better and how they impacted things like the arts community, which is where my heart is. That's why the mission of CityCast Denver speaks to me. We spend all day, every day, finding the most compelling stories, the most exciting people, and the best insider recommendations so you can make the most of the city and also make the city better. Members of CityCast Denver make that possible, and we could not keep doing this work without you. Become a member of CityCast Denver today at membership.citycast.fm and get exclusive perks like ad-free listening, event invites, and members-only updates. That's membership.citycast.fm. Thanks. Okay, our next category is, I think, something we talk about a lot here because folks move to Colorado because they like to be outdoors. They want to do outdoorsy things. And this is kind of a year-round thing, dates to do outdoors. But Linnea, what would you recommend if somebody's looking to do something fun outdoors with their partner for Valentine's Day?
I think that gets really tricky because of the weather. And as we know in Denver, it can be like wonderfully beautiful and you can go on like a nice little hike, but it can also be really, really cold. So that kind of makes it really hard to plan an outdoor thing in February. The aforementioned art walk is always a good idea because if it gets cold, you can just go inside somewhere and warm up and you're not like out far away from civilization. That's a really good question. I haven't thought too much of the outdoor Valentine's stuff because of the weather.
Yeah, the city clothes thing though is a good point because the weather changes so much here, but February is really like you don't know what you're gonna get. It could be 60 degrees, it could be 20 degrees. So something where like even just like City Park or Wash Park is a nice place where you're not too far from a place where you can get warm if it all of a sudden, we get a freak snowstorm or whatever. Olivia, what about you?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about this weather aspect when I was coming up with ideas. And so my idea, which I've kind of found is actually a business for some people, but I was thinking of it as just something to DIY yourself. But planning a scavenger hunt around the city. I had friends do this for birthdays that were in the cold months. And there's actually some like places you can pay for scavenger hunts that they have already created. But I was looking at Reddit and stuff, and I saw some people did a Halloween one for their partner, and like this is a great way to be super thoughtful and like know all the things that your person loves, all the places that they love, and like plan just a really personalized day for them. So this Halloween one I saw, they had their partner, they had clues that led them to the wizard's chest to get a specific costume, and then like they went through all these other riddles and stuff, and then they ended up at a pumpkin patch and their other partner was wearing the same costume there. So like it's so easy to just like make it super personal, and then also you can spend as much or as little as you want, just kind of personalizing it, and you can be indoors and outdoors, going into businesses, going into museums and shops, and then outside maybe take a picture at this mural and things like that. So
You're not like Linnea said, like hiking, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
a
which I
rainstorm.
mean, I really like the occasional warm day and just getting the spur of the moment hike, but it can be harder to plan. So this is something you can really be thoughtful about and really show off your tender loving care to your person.
I love that idea. That's really cute. I think that's really sweet.
It also had me thinking of Historic Denver's been doing these Where Am I posts every week.
Yeah.
And they're posting, like, where is this building? Or do you know anything about this? And I've wanted to go and visit some of those places that I was not familiar with, or I didn't know that neighborhood. And so even just kind of like scanning Instagram to see what other folks have been looking at in the city that's a cool, easy, cheap, free way to wander around outside. And like, again, weather permitting, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Okay, our final category is dealer's choice. This is your ideal Denver Valentine's date for cheap and or free. This is something that you have designed that you would really love to do. Linnea, what have you got?
Okay, so I kind of love fried chicken. So to me, a good way to show that you love me is to give me some tendies. Like give me some juicy, lovely chicken. And at the post, they're doing a heart-shaped box of chicken tenders and champagne, and then you get a glass of champagne and red velvet gooey butter cake. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds like heaven. And it's only $29. So like for me, if I could just like sneak away with my honey and do that and have a nice like super simple casual celebration, that would be perfect. And then go home and maybe pop another bottle of champagne and watch a movie.
I love this too because it like changes the idea of what romantic food has to be. It might just be the thing you really like to eat is the thing you get to eat on Valentine's Day, which might be chicken tenders.
Yeah, I feel like as you get older, you're more like, I want to eat what I want. I don't want to eat what you think I need to eat for whatever holiday. That said, we tend to spend Valentine's Day a lot with the kids because like reservations at a restaurant, babysitters are also really hard to come by on Valentine's Day. So Vero has a pretty good deal on like heart-shaped pizzas that you can have there in-house, or you can bring the stuff home and do it at home. Or if you want to go even quicker, easier, and cheaper, Papa John's every year does heart-shaped pizza on Valentine's Day. And I will tell you, my 9 and 6-year-old both love that.
Yeah, as a child who grew up on the seasonally shaped pizza, I approve. I love the heart-shaped pizza. I love the pumpkin-shaped pizza. And my mom told me that I will always be her Valentine. So,
my gosh, Vivian, how sweet. Also, this is I love the reality of this, Linnea, which is like a lot of us don't get to go out for Valentine's Day, and we are going to be with our kids, so we might as well do something that they will find equally fun. And as you know, as silly as heart-shaped pizza seems, man, when you're a kid, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah,
That's
my
so
mom
cool.
always made Valentine's Day so special for me. So it
Aw.
was always a really nice holiday for us.
I love
But
this. Well, Olivia, you close us out. What is the ideal Olivia date for Valentine's
my
Day?
pick is a total Olivia pick. And this is something I keep seeing on social media, and I like kind of am like terrified but dying to do. So essentially the idea is you and your partner, or whoever it is, maybe it's your Valentine or your friend or whatever, but you both get a budget of like $20 or $30, and you're going to hit the thrift store together, and you're each going to pick out each other an outfit at the thrift store. So whether, you know, you decide on the terms at the beginning. Are they going to be like crazy outfits? I've seen people do like, we're going to get like old people outfits. I've seen people be like, or like, we're going to who can come up with the coolest outfit for each other. And, you know, we're spending this much money on an outfit at the thrift store for each other, and then going out for brunch afterwards. So my pick for this was in Lakewood, Sunrise Sunset Diner. Like, it's like a breakfast brunch place, is literally right next door to the Goodwill, and also a block away from the Arc.
Yes.
And so the proximity is just begging for this to happen, because just do a quick change in your back seat, then you're ready for brunch. And it's just silly, make lots of fun pictures and stuff, and just a funny day, I think.
I love that.
Also, I like that it can just be like your romantic partner or just like your bestie. Like, this
Yeah.
is something you can do together that's like, I just want to spend time with someone that I love who's my, you know, my best friend. Or maybe even it's like your kid. Let's like go do something silly and pick out fun outfits. I think I know exactly which shopping center you're talking about. It's like
Yep.
Colonial. It's like it's like a 60s strip mall that looks colonial.
It's a very, very beautiful looking Goodwill. It's got like columns and stuff.
Yes.
It's very, very nice looking. But yeah, so this is another great one that shows, like, you know, your mom can be your Valentine, your kid can be your Valentine, your bestie can be your Valentine. So
I like that about both
know.
your choices. It's a flexible thing, whatever Valentine's Day means to you.
yeah.
That's so sweet. Well, Olivia and Linnea, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you, Brie. Thanks, Olivia.
We want to hear from you too. What's the best Denver date you've ever been on? We'd love to share more great ideas on the show before the big day next week. So give us your hidden gems or surprisingly romantic spots for a chill Wednesday night V-Day. Text or leave us a voicemail on the Denver Love Hotline at 720-500-5418. Again, that number is 720-500-5418. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell your Valentine about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya! Yeah, Wednesday, not really a hot date night.